right? I'm not fucking playing around here, man. As once you trap me with sharing your death, well, I didn't do anything wrong. You're gonna trap me with sharing your death. So I never even had a girlfriend. I never even been in a relationship in my life. I've been a virgin my whole life, and you trap me with you have a virgin innocent man who never been in a relationship, have him share with millions of people for the rest of his life. You guys are fucking crazy people. And then people make fun of me because of my mental illness, and you guys are 10 times more what? More psychotic than me and my wife. You separate me and my wife for 30 years, which is very, very psychotic. You won't let me see my wife for 30 years, and then you make fun of me because of my mental illness, because of the way I think. And you guys are 10 times crazier than me. You cause mess, purposely cause mess in my life. You guys are wicked people, obviously. And then a virgin man who never been in a relationship, you trap him with sharing your death. So you're willing to have a virgin man who never been in a relationship, have him share with millions of people when he's with his wife for the rest of his life, obviously, and you call me a fucking psychopath because of the way I think, because of my mental illness, and you call me a psychopath when in reality you guys are 10 times crazier than me. You guys don't see it now because you're blind, but once I come out from death, it's finally going to hit your minds how psychotic and messed up you guys are. You guys are nothing but a mess of me like me. Yeah, I have a mental illness, but you guys are 10 times crazier than my wife. You can deny all you want, but your actions show that you're fucking crazy, man. You guys are nothing but a fucking fucked up mess of me like me. You guys are crazy fucking people, man. You won't even let me be my wife. I would never separate you from your wife for 30 years. You separate me and my wife for 3 fucking decades, man. For 3 decades. 30 fucking years. 30 fucking years you won't let me see my wife since birth. And yet you call me a crazy... You make fun of me because of my mental illness. And you guys are 10 times crazier than me. And you kill an innocent man to be with his wife. And you guys call me fucking crazy. When in reality, you guys are much crazier than me. Yeah, shut you up for good, man. Hence why once I pay this fee, I'm gonna shut you guys up for good that you can't say shit anymore. It's so bad you guys can't even make after I pay this fee, you guys can't even make fun of my mental illness because I just proved how 10 times more psychotic and crazier you guys are compared to me. Obviously, because you guys are fucking crazy people, man. Yeah, you're nothing but a mess of I've made. I'm gonna shut you up for good to the point by all these talk shows they can't say shit anymore, man. I shut you up for good. All these women who complain about these men and his boyfriends cheating on me, you force Ivan to share for the rest of his life forever with his wife after already causing that mess. You guys are crazy. You don't even see the evil that you're doing. At the same time, you purposely cause mess in my life, and it's what I shut you up for good, obviously. In other words, all you women out there who complain about your boyfriend and husband cheating on you, you shouldn't complain because you purposely caused mess in my life, hence I shut you up for good, obviously. Shut you up for good. And you forced me into porn stars. You forced me to have sex with hundreds of women before I could be my wife when I was willing to save my virginity for my wife. And you're going to force me to have sex with my own stepmother, which is fucking gross. At the same time, to save my wife, I have to do that, obviously. At the same time, you're going to force me to have sex with hundreds of women and also kill me. And you force me to share when I've never been in a relationship in my life. And it's like, shut you up for good. I'm going to shut you up for good, whereby you can't say shit anymore. I'm a fucking genius, man. I'm going to shut you guys up for good. So hence I'm a genius. Once me and Major King Queen, the whole was left behind, we not only proved how wicked and evil the world really is, we shut them up for good to the point whereby the world can't say shit anymore because we proved how wicked and evil the world really is. All these people in the world you think are good people, they're not good people. They're wicked fucking people, man. The only 2 good people in the world are me and my wife, because you guys are all wicked people, man. And you know it. You know full well you're a wicked person. You can deny all you want. You can act like you're good. There's a saying, actions speak louder than words. Look at what you take a good look and look at what you did to me and my wife. And if you think after doing all that, like locking all doors on me, purposely causing that mess, trapping me with sharing her death, knocking out a 4-year-old kid, killing an innocent man, not talking about Ivan in the public eye, fucking evil, obviously. At the same time, you also act like VJ's not even my wife. Hence, I'm proving how wicked and evil you guys really are. Yeah. You guys even act like VJ's not my wife because you guys are crazy fucking people, man. You act like I'm not God. You act like VJ's not even my wife when she's my fucking wife. You know she's my wife. She's not your fucking wife. And you have the guts to act like she's not even my fucking wife because you guys are mentally crazy, psychotic people. And hence why I'm going to shut you up, guys up for good, as you guys are nothing but crazy psychopaths. You're crazy fucking people. You even act like VJ's not even my wife. Because you guys are crazy fucking psychopaths, man. You had psychotic behavior, yeah. You guys are crazy fucking people, man. Separate me and her for 30 years, for 3 decades, 30 fucking years. You won't even let me see her because you guys are crazy psychopaths, obviously. You're nothing but a mess of my wife made. Yeah. So some good news for you, VJ. Ivan O'Mara just finished all his phases. So my wife is joining for joy, obviously. I finished formatting, obviously. So I finished formatting my book on Microsoft Word. It's good enough. It's professionally formatted. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's professionally formatted. I told you, if you're expecting my book to look as professional as a traditional publishing book, it won't be as professional as a traditional publishing book. But it'll still look professional, obviously. As if you format Microsoft Word, your book will still look your book will still look professional, as I mentioned in my formatting video that I deleted, obviously. So my book will be professional, obviously, but it won't be. If you're expecting to look as professional as a traditional publishing book, it won't be as professional as a traditional publishing book, as I have to do everything myself, obviously. As the step families won't even let another company format my book for me, and they obviously won't even let me proof my book for me, and so I have to do everything myself, obviously. But I told you, most of my grammar is good. It'll catch a few typos, and my formatting is in pristine form. It's good enough. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about later on in this video when I show you my file. I'm going to show you my map too, obviously. So some good news for you, VJ. Ivan O'Mara just finished all his phases, and so I recommend, VJ, you go to another country. For the next 2 months, go to another country, get a beer, get drunk with your sister, with your half-sister, with your step-sister if you have to. Her stepsister's obviously angry because she doesn't want to be with her, obviously. But go have fun with your family or your stepsister. Get drunk with your friends, your so-called friends, whatever it is, and celebrate because Ivan O'Mara finished all his phases. My book is now ready to be released on Lulu. All I have to do is just carefully go over it. It's already done. I finished my book. All I have to do is just go over my book one more time. I already went over my prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2. So I have what? I have 11 more chapters to go over. I'll be done in a good, 15, 16 days. So sometime towards the end of the third week of September, I'll be done going over my whole book. Mid-September, I'll be done going over my whole book, fixing my typos. And after that, Ivan O'Mara will enjoy his last couple checks. I'll be pumping up my Lord of the Rings series. Around end of September, I'll make my Swing with the Sharks. We're looking at a very interesting video for that, obviously. And then I'm going to pump up my Lord of the Rings video. And the end of October, I'm going to make what? I'm going to enjoy that last check. I'm going to make that final announcement. Enjoy myself for a couple of days. Enjoy my last checks. And then I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to let my family know about my book. And once I find out how wicked you are, that's the last time you're going to hear from Ivan O'Mara. Obviously. So I'm going to repeat this. So some good news for you, VG. Ivan O'Mara just finished all his phases. I finished formatting my book on Microsoft Word. All Ivan has to do now is carefully go over his manuscript. And after that file is now ready to be released on Lulu. Again, my book will be hardcover, obviously. I'll show you an idea of what I'm talking about later on. For release on Lulu, print and ebook. So Ivan O'Mara will enjoy his last 2 welfare checks. I get $1,500 for the next 2 months. Actually, with the government checks, I'm going to get a good, $1,700. So $1,700 I'm going to get for the next 2 months. I'm going to enjoy that $1,700. And I'm going to blow that money, get beer, get smokes, watch some movies, get a nice laugh about my old videos. And then I'm going to get ready for that final announcement. And after that, all I have to do is just pay this fee and they say my wife. And once I get that over with, I get my financial control, I get my freedom, my wife is fresh. She gets to see me now. You're fucking welcome, obviously. She gets to live the multi-million life with me, and she gets to be king. She gets to be queen with me, obviously. And you're fucking welcome, Victoria. Right. So Ivan O'Mara. Right. So all I have to do is my book's already done. All I have to do is all my phases are done. All I have to do is just redo my phase, pretty much redo my phase 4, which is Grammarly. I have to go over my book again. All I have to do is just go over my file one more time. My book's already done. Formatting's already done. All I have to do is just, my phases are all done. All I have to do is just go over my book one more time for typos, obviously, like the word ale and that kind of stuff. And after that, my book is ready to be released on Lulu for print and ebook. So Ivan O'Mara will enjoy his last 2 welfare checks and celebrate with a beer and food and even watch movies. I'm going to get McDonald's, get shawarma, get beer, obviously, get beer. I might even get drunk, obviously. I might even get drunk. I'm not going to get drunk, but I'll get 6 beers and enjoy myself. I'm not a fan of getting drunk right now, but I'll get 6 beers and enjoy myself. Get smokes and just enjoy myself, watch movies, watch Disney. I love watching Pixar movies like Incredibles 2. It's amazing. I love watching Pixar movies, Disney movies on Disney Plus and online. I'm going to watch those movies, obviously. Watch movies. VJ will most likely celebrate with a beer because she knows now all my phases are done. I have the keys. My book. I own all the rights to my book, and so I don't have because I have the keys. I don't have to sell to power families. And so me and her are gonna be multi-billionaires. That's what. And VJ's gonna celebrate. Obviously, VJ will most likely celebrate with a beer, knowing that her husband finished his novel. Best fantasy novel, by the way. I not only just wrote some crappy novel to make money, I actually wrote the best fantasy novel ever written, top quality novel. Hence, even though I'm a son God, my books will sell billions. If someone else wrote this book, that person will be a billionaire. As Last of Us is a $1 billion story. I'm gonna keep saying that. Lord of the Rings is pretty much a $1 billion story or a multi-billion-dollar story. It's a $1 billion story. Last of Us is a $1 billion story. As if someone wrote this book, they'd be a billionaire. They'd be fucking rich. And this is the best fantasy story ever told. Best fantasy story ever told. I'm gonna keep saying it. It's the best fantasy novel written. Not the best novel written, as you can't compare romance with fantasy or science fiction with fantasy, but it's the best fantasy novel ever written. I'm gonna keep saying that. You guys think I'm crazy, but once you read my book, you'll finally see what I mean. Last of Us is the best fantasy novel ever written. Right? Right? Best fantasy novel ever written. Ivan has the keys, hence financial control, hence her, VJ, and Ivan will make their billions. Again, you're looking at good like 9 billion, 9.5 billion royalties. Perhaps even more, perhaps even 10 billion. But realistically speaking, about 9 billion royalties my wife are going to make. Right? Hence, her and Ivan will make their billions and get to be king, queen, and they will be ruling over the world daily. Hence, me and my wife are going to be feeling on top of the world every day. Everywhere, wherever we go, people are going to take pictures of me and my wife. That's going to be trending online. All of fantasy Reddit, Lord of the Rings Reddit, fantasy writing Reddit, Tolkien fans Reddit, all the book what? All the booktubers are all going to be what? They're all going to be what? They're all going to be drooling over my Last of Us story. They're not going to mention my name, but they're obviously going to talk about encoding. Yeah, it's funny. You know what I'm saying? That was an amazing book. They're gonna say it in coding. All of fantasy Reddit's going to explode talking about my book. All the booktubers are going to explode talking about my book because Last of Us is the best fantasy story ever told. Yes, even better than J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. I'm going to say this in advance, so Lord of the Rings has better world building than Last of Us, but Last of Us has a better story. Hence why it tops Lord of the Rings. Because at the end of the day, even like you can have the best world, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's all about the plot. If you write an amazing story, that supersedes the world building. But Last of Us has amazing world building, almost as good as Lord of the Rings, but not as good as Lord of the Rings. But the story tops Lord of the Rings. It's a deeper story. Obviously, it's Lord of the Rings. As Lord of the Rings is just about Frodo destroying the one powerful ring that can possess people, whereas Xehanort has a deeper plot than Lord of the Rings. Obviously. Right, so me and my wife, we bring over the world daily. Hence, you're fucking welcome, VJ. I saved your fucking ass. And hence why my wife is so proud of me. I guarantee my wife is so proud of me. Because I remember when I said Beautiful Justice, my wife knew I was lost. This lost Ivan, he didn't even know VJ was his wife. He didn't even know he was God. He finds out that he's God. He finds out that he has a wife. He finds out the doors are locked on him. And he happens to be writing a fantasy novel. The best fantasy novel ever written, by the way. And he ends up completing the novel. And now he wrote the best fantasy novel ever written. He has the keys. He owns all the rights to his book. Hence, him and his wife will make their billions. Hence, financial control. And hence, he and his wife can be king and queen. And you're fucking welcome, Victoria. Obviously. Now for the exciting part. Before I show you pictures. So to end this video off, I'm going to talk about how I'm going to have a dress code for my 7 team. How it's mandatory that they dress casual. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you pictures of nice suits that me and my wife are going to buy. Me and my wife are going to get like nice, like $2,500, $5,000, even $10,000 suits me and my wife can buy. Me and my wife can even get nice $5,000 suits, $8,000 suits, $3,000 suits me and my wife are going to buy. I'm going to tell my wife how I don't want you going overboard with the suits also. I'll talk about it later on, okay? Now, world, I promised that I would show you my map and layout of my book, so I'll pull it out and show you to build excitement. So here it is. I'm going to show you guys the layout of my book. I'm going to show you guys my map. That way I build excitement for what? That my book will be released sometime next year. Realistically speaking, I don't know, August, July of next year, my book will be released. Right? Don't hate me, obviously, but my book will be released, obviously. I'm going to log into my Hotmail here. Because I have all my files saved on my Hotmail, obviously. Each time, so pretty much, I have my files saved on my Hotmail, But at the same time, because I'm going over my book, I have to resave it on my Hotmail, obviously. Because once I go over all my book and I fix the typos, I have to resave another file on my Hotmail, obviously. So I'm going to show you guys the layout of my book. I format on Microsoft Word. I told you, I contacted the formatting company to format my book for me, but the moment they said Ivan, when we open your file, all we can access is your prologue. I set myself the file. I looked at my file. Wait a minute, all 3 volumes there. That's when I knew the doors were locked on me, obviously. So I'm going to show you guys my book, the layout of my book, and my map, so you guys can see it for yourself, obviously. Right? Give me a sec here. Yeah, so you guys can see this. This is the layout of my book. I'm going to show you this, okay? This is very sensitive. Jesus Christ. Page down. It's very tough to... So here is the title of my book. See this? Last Hope for Zanes by Ivan O'Mara. Obviously. I'll show you the Ivan O'Mara here. This is the layout of my book, obviously. So it's professional, obviously, but it's not as professional as if what? See? The bottom here, it says by Ivan O'Mara. See this? Last Hope for Zanes, and the bottom it says by Ivan O'Mara. Obviously. And then here it says the beginning of volume 1. See, it's one story, but it's split into what? It's split into 3 volumes. So this is the beginning of volume 1, obviously. So it says Last of Zanes by Ivan O'Mara. That's the first page. And the second page, it says beginning of volume 1, obviously. And then this is the beginning of the prologue. See that? See, it's formatted well. See how that's well formatted? So it's formatted well. You have the prologue there. And that's the beginning of the prologue, obviously. Right? Now I'm going to show you volume 2. See? So at page 90, it says the end. So once volume 1's finished, it'll say the end of volume 1 here. You see that? It says the end of volume 1. So you have Last of Zanes by Ivan O'Mara. You have Last of Zanes by Ivan O'Mara. And then you have beginning of volume 1. Then you have the prologue to chapter 4. Then after that, it says the end of volume 1, obviously. I showed it, just like I just showed you. Obviously. And then you have the Last Hope for Zanes by Ivan O'Mara again. So it's one book, but it's told in 3 volumes. Last Flames by Ivan O'Mara again, obviously. See, it's formatted well, but it's not as professional. See, Microsoft Word's professional, but it's not as professional as if you were formatted by a professional company, obviously. Right? And afterwards, it says the beginning of volume 2. See that? Just like earlier, it says the beginning of volume 1. So it's formatted, obviously. It only took me a good hour to format. Formatting doesn't take long. You just gotta align your chapters and that's it. Obviously. And then you have chapter 5 Lithia here. But you see how the chapter 5 Lithia, the alignment's a bit down? Hence, you're gonna see like 3 of my chapters, the alignment's a bit down. Obviously. The reason why I'm not changing it is because if I change it, it can interfere with the alignments for my chapter titles. Hence why I just leave it the way it is. 3 of my chapters, the alignment's a bit lower than the other ones, but it's still professional. It's still professional, as this still looks professional. Obviously, see chapter 5 Lithia here. That's the beginning of volume 2. Obviously, right. So it says the beginning of volume 2 here. So end of volume 1. Last Hope for Zanes by Ivan O'Mara title again. Then beginning of volume 2. Obviously. Now I'm going to show you volume 3. So the total page count on Microsoft Word for my whole book is 446 pages. So in book form, you're looking at like 600 pages for that. Because 446 pages is a lot of pages for my whole book. Hence you're looking at a good what? You're looking at what? Like 600, 580, 600 pages for my book. If it's single space, which I will have it single space. For my whole book, single space, for the 3 volumes, 1 book, you're looking at 600 page book. And it's a long ass book, obviously. As I read Fellowship of the Ring, and Fellowship of the Ring was fucking long, obviously. Now I'll show you volume 3, and after that I'll show you my map. Obviously. So to all you fantasy nerds, you're probably happy. Oh my god, Ivan's actually done his book. He's showing us the layout of his book. Yeah, man. I'm done my book. All I have to do is just go over what? Carefully go over my book to fix up the typos, and I'm done. Obviously. Right? Right? So this is the end of volume 2. See how it says after the end of volume 2. So volume 2 is chapter 5 to chapter 9, obviously. And then once chapter 9 is finished, it says what? The end of volume 2, obviously. The end of volume 2, like I showed you earlier, just like it says the end of volume 1, the end of volume 2, right? And then you have Last Hope for Xanus here. And then the bottom it says by Ivan O'Mara, obviously. Right? The bottom it says by Ivan O'Mara here. See that? See, it's professionally formatted. My book is formatted well enough, but there's some chapters where the chapters aren't as aligned. Like some chapters, they might, like when it says, like for example, the Lithia chapter, it's a bit down. The alignment's a bit lower than the other chapters, obviously, but it's still professionally formatted. That's my point. So my book will be professional, but it's not going to be as professional as traditional publishing house, obviously. Right? And after Last of Us by Ivan O'Mara, it says beginning of volume 3. Obviously, see that? And then volume 3 is chapter 10 to chapter 13, which is the best of the series in my opinion. It's either people are either going to like volume 2 the best, or they're either going to like volume 3 the best. And then finally, I'm going to show you the end. I'm going to show you the end of what? End of the book, obviously. So once volume 3 ends, so volume 3 is chapter 10 to chapter 13. Once volume 3 ends, you have in the end you have here the end. So it says the end at the end. Obviously. It says the end at the end. Obviously, the end. That's the end of what? That's the end of the book. So you have Last of Us by Ivan O'Mara, beginning of volume 1, and then volume 1 is the prologue to chapter 4. And then you have the end of volume 1. Then you have The Last of Us by Ivan O'Mara, and you have beginning of volume 2, which is chapter 5 to chapter 9. Then you have the end of volume 2. Then you have The Last of Us by Ivan O'Mara, and you have beginning of volume 3, and then which is chapter 10 to chapter 13. And then you have the end. And then after that, you have the map. I'm going to show you the map. So after that, after the end, you have a title here, Map of the Upper Lands and Lower Lands, which is this here. A page, it's a title page, obviously. And then the next page is my map, and then that's pretty much my whole book. And then the next page is my map, which is here. This is my beautiful map that I designed. See this here? That's the map of Xanus. The Upper Lands, you have the north, you have the south, you have the River of Tinus. I even have skeletons. You have these demonic skeletons around Barak because the south is cursed. You have the Western Gilead Mountains. You have Cyrus. You have Saphius. You have the River of Tinus. You have Xanus. That's my beautiful map that I designed for my book. And that's my whole layout for my book, obviously. That would be cool to show you that. And I guarantee you fantasy nerds, you fantasy fans are all jumping for joy. Oh my god, Ivan finally finished his book. Even though you guys don't want me to be my wife, you guys are crazy psychopath people. You guys are obviously, all you fantasy nerds out there, you're probably happy because, oh my god, we've been waiting for years for Ivan to finally announce that he's finished his book officially. As I'm done on my phases, all I have to do is just go over my book and fix up my titles. My book is ready to be released on Lulu. All I have to do is just face the gatekeepers, pay this fee, and I got to make my billions and live my life with my wife, obviously, be king. Obviously. So that pretty much sums it up for my book, obviously. Don't hate me. You know what I'm saying? And as my wife is joying for joy as I finish all my phases. So you guys saw you guys saw the layout of my book. You guys know how. So my book looks professional. You guys saw it. I show you guys the layout of my book. My book looks professional, obviously. It's professional. As Micah Scott, I told you, to all you guys out there who can't afford to get your book formatted, formatting only costs you like 200 something bucks. It's cheap. But for those of you guys who don't want to pay a couple $100, you can easily format your book on Microsoft Word for free, and your book will still look professional if you get it, if you have it on print, obviously. So my book will be professional, but it won't be as professional as a traditional published book, obviously. Right? Now for clarification. So hence why you fantasy nerds are obviously joining for joy, because you know, oh my god, Ivan finished his book. He announced all his phases and he showed us his map. He showed us the layout of his book. He's done. All he has to do is pay his fee. We get to read his book. Yeah, man. All I have to do is, to all you fans out there, I'm done my book. You'll get to read it sometime next year. Sometime next year you'll read my book. All I have to do is just pay this fee, and I got to be king, and you guys are gonna read my amazing book, which is even better than Lord of the Rings. I don't need to be cocky. J.R.R. Tolkien's a legend, but I told you, his book is amazing, but there's some sections in the book that are very boring. And it drags on with descriptions describing the horse, the sunset, the trees, you know what I'm saying? What the door looks like, all that stuff, all these huge info dumps. Whereas my book is more focused on the characters and the plot. I give a few descriptions, obviously, but I focus more on the characters and the plot. Hence why my story is more interesting in Lord of the Rings, obviously. Now for clarification. Before in my past videos, I said I'll be selling my Last of Zane's book in a box set series. But to lower the price, I decided that I'll sell it as one book, but in 3 volumes. But the 3 volumes will be contained in one book. So like I said, just like I showed you, it's one book. I showed you the layout of my book. It's one book, but it's 3 volumes contained in the one book. Obviously. So I'll be selling it as one book. It'll be one book, but it'll be divided into 3 volumes within that one book. So let me show you an example. So here's Lord of the Rings sold in 3 separate books. Obviously. So I'm going to show you an example here on Amazon. Right? I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about here, okay? So this is the example of a series. This is a series that I bought, okay? This is the one that I bought. Give me a sec here. I'll just show you this one. This is an example of a box set. Okay? So had I divided my volumes into 3 separate books or 3 separate ebook files, I would have sold it as a series. But if I sell it as a series, I have to price it for more money because it's going to be higher printing costs. So this is a series that I bought on Amazon. You guys can see it here. Okay. This is a series that I bought on Amazon for $40. The one that I have. That's the example of a series. So Last of Zane's, had I had it divided into 3 separate volumes, I would have sold it as a series like this on a box set in hardcover. A red cover, hardcover, right? Hardcover, whereas this is paperback, obviously. This Lord of the Rings set's paperback. I would have sold my Last of Zane's series as a box set as 3 separate book volumes and 3 separate ebook volumes. Had I sold it as a series, obviously. But here is another example of Lord of the Rings being sold as one book, but the 3 books are in that one book, obviously. So this is an example here. This series is $108, obviously, on Amazon, right? So this is a Lord of the Rings book, but the Fellowship of the Ring, 2 Towers, and Return of the King are all contained in this one book. This book here is like $108. It's one book, so it's Lord of the Rings, one book, but all 3 books are in that one book. That's the example of the kind of book I'm going to be selling for my Last of Zane's book. So it'll be something like this. It'll be one book like this, but 3 volumes contained in one book. Just like this is one Lord of the Rings book, but the Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King are all in that one book. Whereas the other picture I showed you, the box that I have, is the Lord of the Rings series split into three separate books, obviously. So I hope you guys get an idea of the kind of book you're looking at for Zanus. Obviously. So it'll be one book like that Lord of the Rings picture I showed you, but it'll be 3 volumes in the one book. I'll say Last of Zanus by Ivan O'Mara, and I'll say Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. So it'll be one book, and then 3 volumes will be contained in that one book. 30 minutes here. And it'll be hardcover. So it won't be paperback like this. It'll be hardcover, obviously. Right? It'll be hardcover. Give me a sec here. I'll show you what I mean by what I'm talking about. I'll say this before I shut this camera off here, because it's 30 minutes in here. Obviously, right? Yeah. Yeah, so my book will be something like this. See this here? My book will be something like this. See this? It'll be hardcover like this. So you see, this is another Lord of the Rings book. One book, and the 3 books are in that one book, like Fellowship of the Ring, Return of the King, and Two Towers are in this one book. My Last of Zanus book will be sold like something like this. So it'll be one book, red cover, hardcover, with a symbol of an axe, trees, all that stuff. It'll be something top notch like this. It'll be one book, and it'll be the 3 volumes will be contained in that one book. So picture something like this for my Last of Zanus series. Look at something top notch. I want the cover red, hardcover, and you're gonna have Zane symbols of trees, the axe, the sword, and it'll say the Last of Zanus, Ivan O'Mara, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. So this is another example. This is one Lord of the Rings book, and you have Fellowship of the Ring, Return of the King, and Two Towers in that one book. Whereas the series I bought is split into 3 separate books. So there's some Lord of the Rings books that sells a series in 3 separate books, Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. And there's some books where they sell it as one big book, and they have the 3 books, Fellowship of the Ring, Return of the King, and Two Towers, contained in that one book. That's a perfect example of what my Last of Zanus book will be like. Obviously. You're looking at something like this, like a top-notch red hardcover for my book. Hence why I'm going with Lulu, because Lulu has hardcover. As I'm not a fan of paperback for Zanus, for fantasy, I want Zanus to be hardcover, something like that top-notch picture I showed you here. Let me show my camera from here.